Well, good morning, everybody. We've made it. It's the weekend. You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore. And yeah, it's the weekend. And that means what? Lots of fun, lots of kicking back. Maybe it means weeding. I probably have some weeding that I've got to do. Anyway, that's coming up for me later. On the show today, I'm going to be breaking down Benjamin Moore's Color of the Year for 2025. In the design world, that is big news, big doings. But what does it practically mean? Does it affect our daily lives? The daily lives of regular people who are crazy cool, but still regular people. Does it affect us at all? Or is it just a lot of buzz and hype over nothing? We're going to dig into all of that at the end of the show. I'm also going to be in the studio with Jeff Roush from East End Plumbing and Grand Bay Electric, talking about how we can make sure that our homes stay powered through any and all storms that blast through our neighborhoods as we head into fall and eventually, winter. How do we keep our homes nice and toasty? We'll talk about that. That's all coming up in a little bit. But right now, it's trivia time. We're going to play a game. We don't do this very often. I think we should do it all the time, but we're going to play a game. I've got a greater point that I'm going to get to, but that's not important. Right now, we'll get to the paint point in a minute. Right now, it's all about trivia. It's all about beating the people who you're standing around or hanging out with right now. Who is going to know the answers and who's going to be wrong? All right, so let's find out. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. You just come up with the answer in your head or shout it out. You guys make your own rules up, and then I'll give you the answer. All right? First question, bagpipes. Where did bagpipes come from? All right, think about it, talk about it, come up with your answer. What do you think? Scotland, right? Got to be Scotland. There's nothing more Scottish than Highland bagpipes. Wrong. Turns out there's really solid evidence that bagpipes came from ancient Egypt, of all places. No kidding. As early as 400 BC, there's historical evidence or scuttle about the pipers of Thebes and how they used bagpipe-like instruments that apparently made use of a big bag made from dog skin and then had bone pipes protruding from it. I don't profess to understand how bagpipes work, but apparently you just squeeze the big skin bag, the dog skin bag, and then the bone pipes would blare out some kind of tune. All kinds of music would frolic forth from the ends of those pipes. And there you go. Bagpipes in Egypt, the pipers of Thebes, 400 BC. Who'd have thought? Next question. And this one's easier, right? Which is older, Oxford University or the Aztec Empire? All right, think about it for a second. What do you think? Of course, the Aztecs have to be older, right? Their civilization in central Mexico is ancient. They've got pyramids with lots of ivy. They've got museum exhibits, dedicated to them. They've got to be older than Oxford University, right? Wrong. Go ahead and fact check me. You're going to want to. I fact checked myself. I'm saying it that way because it normally sounds like fat check when I say it, the normal way I would say it. And there's no reason to fat check me. I know the fat's there. It's lurking. It's kind of out in the open. It's not really lurking. There it is. But I did fact check myself, and it turns out that as early as the year 1096, teaching had started in Oxford. And by 1249, the school was a university. They had student housing and everything. Probably parking passes were being issued for exorbitant amounts of money, and they probably had a meal plan that you had to sign on for. The Aztec civilization, on the other hand, was founded in 1325. So Oxford predates the Aztec civilization by at least 76 years, possibly up to 229 years, depending on how you consider or when you consider the actual beginning of Oxford. All right, next question. Cleopatra. Let's think about her birth date. Was she born closer to the construction of the pyramids in Giza, the three main pyramids in Egypt? Was she born closer to the construction of those pyramids or to the moon landing in 1969? Which event is closer to the birth date of Cleopatra? Well, it's got to be the pyramids, right? Wrong. Those pyramids were completed 2,400 years before Cleopatra's birth, and the moon landing took place about 2,000 years after her birth. So believe it or not, the moon landing is actually a closer historical event to Cleopatra's birth than the construction of the pyramids in Giza. That is crazy, counterintuitive stuff. None of it seems right, but it is. All right, now let's get to the paint point. And of course, it's not going to be as dramatic and fun as all of those. It's a paint point after all. How dramatic and fun can it be? Anyway, here's the question, because we're still playing trivia. We're trying to still make it somewhat fun. Here's the question. When you have a paint project, what's the better money-saving option when it comes to brushes? Buying a cheap throwaway brush or dropping your hard-earned money on a good brush? Well, you know how it works by now, but just play along. The cheap brush has to be a better way to save money, right? Of course not. Wrong. Buying the cheap brush, the cheap throwaway brush, which seems to make sense, is just as wrong as all of those other things that we talked about, all those other historical trivia points that we talked about. And here's why it's wrong. When you buy a more expensive brush, you're naturally going to feel inclined by the guilt factor to clean it out and keep it. Guilt is a powerful motivator, and it's going to motivate you like there's no tomorrow when you bought a more expensive brush. You're going to clean it out. A throwaway brush, they still price out around $5 to $8, so keep that in mind. But when you buy that, when you buy a brush for $5 to $8 with the mindset that it's a throwaway brush, you're going to toss it out after using it. You're not going to bother to clean it up. You're going to throw it away because that's the plan. If you drop bigger money for a better brush, the guilt factor again. Like I said, your brain is going to say, wait a minute there. Hold on. You can't throw that away. You need to clean it. That was expensive. Don't just throw that away. Now, that may sound dumb. It does sound dumb. There's no may about it. It sounds dumb. But it's psychology, I think. And it's true. Try it. Think about it. For me, my penny pinching fingers won't let me throw away something that I spent $20 on, especially if I can clean it and save it. And if you buy the right good brush, even cleanup isn't going to be that bad. Chinex filaments, we talked about them last week, the bristles. Brushes made using those bristles clean up way faster and way easier than other brushes. I've had some of these brushes for 10 years or more, and I've used them for tons and tons of projects. The amount of extra money that I would have spent on cheap brushes just to throw them away is pretty crazy. So getting the better brush is going to save you money in the long run. But here's another good reason to buy a good brush. A high-quality brush makes the work simpler. It carries more paint than a cheap brush is going to, and that means you can move that brush with a smoother arm action across your surface, and you're naturally, just by having the better brush, you're naturally going to end up with smoother lines. One last thing to consider in the time that we've got, and to me, this is the thing to remember about everything that I said. If you forget everything else, don't forget this. The applicator, the tool that you use to apply your paint, whether it's the roller cover or a brush, whatever you use, that applicator is really what determines the final look of your finish. It's not uncommon for people to buy the best paint they can afford because they want the durability and the quality of the product, but then they try to save a couple bucks by grabbing a cheap roller cover or a throwaway brush. It just doesn't make sense to do that. The better applicators, they're going to leave a better finish on your wall. Cheaper tools can make a great paint look cheap. So bottom line, better brushes that you clean and reuse are going to save you money in the long run. They're going to make the work smoother, and they're going to help you achieve the look that you want with your finish. And right now, until the end of October, you can pick up a 2.5-inch Corona Excalibur Chinex brush for $12.26 each. That's about $11 off the normal price. So you can get a great brush for not too much more than a cheap one. All right, that's the paint point for the week. Let's take a break, and when we come back, I'll be in the studio with Jeff Roush from Grand Bay Electric. That's just ahead. Stick around. And we're back. You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore. And right now, I'm in the studio with Jeff Roush, the general manager at Grand Bay Electric and East End Plumbing. Jeff, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Now, Jeff, right off the bat, that's a new one for me. You're the general manager of both of those organizations, those businesses, and you guys are connected in some way with Ayers Basement Systems, and they've been on the show a ton of times. So before we get started with our conversation, help me understand how all of those businesses are connected.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ayers Basement Systems, of course, a basement systems company installing waterproofing systems, doing foundation work and whatnot. They service the entirety of Michigan, based out of Lansing. A lot of their projects involve electrical and plumbing work. So they found themselves a few years ago kind of scrambling, depending on where a job was located in the state. Who am I going to subcontract to help me with the electrical? Or who am I going to subcontract for the plumbing? And it just got to be chaotic, right? It's hard to manage and keep track of. So, the CEO decided to acquire a electric and plumbing company, Grand Bay Electric and East End Plumbing, that were at the time two full service standalone plumbing and electric companies.
Not connected with each other.
No, not at all. Yeah, completely separate. So they went out, acquired these two companies, brought them under the Ayers umbrella. Same management, under the same roof, to be able to provide those turnkey solutions to customers without having to go out of the way and rely on third-party contractors.
All right. So you worked. Which one of you?
Yeah, so I actually started with Ayers about 3.5 years ago now. I actually started in human resources of all places. After about 6 months, I moved into their fleet and facilities department, managing their their maintenance schedules, their service on their vehicles, and also facility maintenance. And as of about 6 months ago or so, I was fortunate enough to be offered the position of general manager for our electric and plumbing companies.
All right. So do you have a background of any kind in?
Not particularly.
So you're just general manager. You're running the business.
Correct. Yeah, and I lean very
people in place.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I lean very heavily on our master electrician and master plumber to kind of fill in my gaps of knowledge.
You didn't step in and just start telling them this is how it's going to work.
No,
I'm the general manager here, guys.
Yeah, they very much help me in everything that I do, and I'm very fortunate to be able to work side by side with them.
All right, that's awesome. So how you cover how much of the state? Pretty much all of the state?
The entirety of the state, absolutely.
All right, so there we go. That helps me understand all of that connection. Let's get into the topic. Basically, when I think about this, I think it was, I can't remember, maybe 10 years ago or so. I moved into the house that I'm in now, back then, and we moved in at the end of August. And then that Thanksgiving, so just a few months later, the power went out.
Oof.
And it was out for 5 days. The entire neighborhood kept coming to our house to apologize because they kept saying, this never happens.
Yeah.
It never happens out here that we get this long of a stretch.
Yeah.
But we were thinking, what did we just move into? Oh, my goodness.
Right.
And, oh, my God, it was just such a pain in the neck trying to, fortunately it was a little cold out and we could keep the food from going bad.
Yeah.
That was at least something. But it was cold. It was crazy.
Yeah,
and in the midst of all of that, the neighbor guy across the street brought over an extra. He just had a portable generator. And as the days kept adding up, he brought that over to help us get by and limp along.
Yeah.
But ever since then, this kind of plays in my mind that I should get a portable generator. And then I stumble into whole house generators, and I start thinking about those, and I toy around with that idea. And then I think, it doesn't really affect me. And then the power goes out again. So anyway, I just want to talk about it, get some scoop, dig a little deeper into this idea of whole house generators. And to get us started, let's just look at what are some of the most common reasons homeowners install whole house generators, not just the little portable units or get those. I mean, is it as basic as it sounds? I just, when the power goes out, I want to keep the food good. Or
That's
are there
exactly
bigger
right.
issues? Okay.
Yeah. I would say the top 3 reasons would be, quality of life, peace of mind, and property value, right? Quality of life is exactly like you said. It's the middle of winter. You lose power. How am I going to heat the place, right? How am I going to make sure my pipes don't freeze? How am I going to keep the food in the fridge cold, right? Those types of things. Peace of mind is if you have a vacation home or, you're not constantly, in the area where your vacation home is located and that power has gone out in the area. You're not constantly having to worry about the same issues, right? Your pipes freezing or your well pump not working and those types of things, right? So you have that peace of mind that
I can
you're protected.
Yeah, see it for vacation home.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not around,
or a cottage, or
yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
And then last, of course, is property value. A generator can add anywhere from 3 to 5%, to your home's property value when it's one of those automatic home standbys.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So how does a whole house generator work compared to the smaller, the portable units?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it'll power everything.
It'll
or is
power
there a
everything,
limit?
absolutely.
Okay.
I would say convenience is really the biggest difference here. A whole home unit is going to provide that automatic backup power at a moment's notice. So you're sitting in your living room, a thunderstorm rolls through, power goes out within 10 seconds. Your automatic home standby generator kicks on, power's returned. It's like it never happened, right? Whereas with a portable, there's a lot more inconvenience involved, right? You're sitting in your living room, thunderstorm rolls through, power gets cut out. Now I got to go out to my shed. I've got to yank my portable out.
I've got to put my pants on.
Yes, exactly.
I've been resting.
Exactly. You got to get dressed, right? Yeah. You got to go out to the shed, pull the portable out, make sure it's fueled up, constantly monitor the fuel while it's running. Hopefully it starts when you want to use it, right? And you're
Normally,
cranking on the bad
by
boy.
the time I've pulled it to start, the power's gone back on.
That too. Yes, exactly.
So then I'll wait. And then the power doesn't go back on.
Exactly.
Then you go outside, then it goes back on.
It's a guessing game.
Yeah, I get it.
And not to mention, all the while, you're probably standing outside during a thunderstorm or during a blizzard, right? So, that's the biggest aspect of it is convenience.
Do you know how much home maintenance gets done at my house in the midst of ridiculous storms? Most.
Yeah.
Most of the maintenance that I have to do. When I think about that, when you just said that, it took me off in a million different directions. But I've installed eaves trough at my old house in the middle of this horrible rain and thunderstorm because water was coming in and I needed to channel it away. And I had put this project off. I'm up there on a ladder drilling things
That's
in.
awful.
It was ridiculous. So I'm not completely unfamiliar with that ridiculousness of work, but even just starting the generator, where the whole house generator, it just kicks on. So I got that. That's a huge benefit over the other ones.
Absolutely.
What about, what types of homes? I mean, my home, it's my castle, but nobody else would call it that. Does it have to be a big, fancy home? Does the size of the home matter at all? Can a little ridiculous person like me have a little home house
absolutely,
generator?
Yeah. The size of the home does not matter at all. You can have anything from a 3-story stick built all the way down to a modular home. Can rely on an automatic home standby generator.
There's different sizes.
There are different sizes.
Will fit different situations.
The criteria really comes down to your fuel source, whether on natural gas or propane, and then essentially how many appliances you have, like what types of electrical or gas appliances you have in your home, the square footage of your home, and the appliances that you're looking to power really come down to that. And then we use a special sizing tool that's provided directly from the manufacturers of the units that we sell to custom fit a generator to your home's specific needs.
Let's see here. Walk me through a real life scenario where having a whole house generator made a huge difference for a particular homeowner.
Yeah.
Real life stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of my favorite stories, and I think about this often, we had a single mother call us once. She's got 3 kids and a dog at home. She called us, inquiring about an estimate and explained to us at the very front end there that the heartache and basically trouble that losing power causes her and her family. So to paint the picture, every single time that she would lose power, of course the fear sets in, right? How long is power going to be out? I've got 3 kids that I got to, feed in the morning, get ready for school, get them shipped off. I've got to get ready for work. I've got a dog to take care of, yada, yada, right? She calls us and explains this story that 9 out of 10 times she loses power, she's got to relocate her entire family to a hotel. And that, of course, involves uprooting everything, packing bags, getting your dog hooked up, right, and finding a hotel that will even accommodate a dog, and so on. So we end up going out, doing an estimate. She purchases one. We get it installed within a couple weeks. 4 weeks later, tornadoes start rolling through our area, right? All of our neighbors lose power, not to mention the destruction and chaos and everything else, right? She calls us that week and is literally in tears. She's like, I cannot thank you guys enough. This is the first time that my neighborhood has lost power, and I'm the only one on the block with my lights on. Right? She's got neighbors coming to her home asking, "Hey, can I borrow an hour of light?"
No, you can't.
No, you can't. This is mine, right? No. But that stuck with me, right? I mean, to be able to solve that problem permanently for her and her family, and just take that fear completely out of it, that to me is the best success story that.
No, that's really cool. So she must have lived obviously in an area where, where I grew up, we lost power all the time. You know? Oh. The wind blew.
Yes, exactly.
Power's out, for a while.
Right.
She was in a weird situation or something like that.
Yep. In an area that lost power quite frequently.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's really cool. I'd like to say that people cry don't cry. Well, cry when they use our products. No, I don't want them to cry. Cry happily, That's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm in the studio with Jeff Roush from Grand Bay Electric and East End Plumbing talking about whole house generators. And Jeff, I guess that really kind of brings my brain around to the idea of maintenance. What does that look like with one of these systems?
Yeah, so it's best to think about a generator maintenance in the same terms of like a car, right? So, every X amount of miles, right, your car needs an oil change. Same thing goes for a generator. There is an engine in there, right? It's running on oil, right? It runs on either natural gas or propane as well. After X amount of time, usually within a year or so, every year maintenance is due. And during that maintenance, depending on what year of maintenance is required, we're going to do an oil change. We're going to replace your oil filter, your air filters, your spark plugs. We're going to load test the battery. We're going to do a comprehensive diagnostic check, just make sure everything's fully operational and running as intended. So that's, essentially what's all involved in maintenance.
Are any of those things that we do ourselves, can do ourselves if we want to?
You
or are
can
those
do
things
them.
That we should get you out there?
Yeah, I would highly recommend relying on a manufacturer trained and certified technician because they're going to do things by the books according to manufacturer specifications. Now, similar to a car, you are more than welcome to do an oil change, but in that point, you also have to keep your warranty in mind, right? In order for your warranty to be able to, for the manufacturer to approve claims, if there were to be any repairs or anything like that needed on your unit, they need detailed records showing that you've maintained the unit according to their specifications. And that's what we do for you, right? So we do that comprehensive report. We give you a report at the end of that visit, basically saying, hey, we've checked X, Y, and Z, right? Ensured everything is fully functional. If anything were to be discovered during that inspection that needs to be addressed at that time, we repair it, again, according to those manufacturer specifications, keep those detailed records, and we even submit that warranty claim on your behalf, so you have no skin in the game in that sense. All of it is on us, and we do that for you.
All right, that makes sense. Jeff, looking at the clock, I'm thinking we should probably take a break, play some commercials, and then pick this conversation up on the other side. Are you good with that?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll be back in the studio with Jeff Roush in just a minute. Stick around. And we're back. You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore, and I'm in the studio with Jeff Roush, General Manager at Grand Bay Electric and East End Plumbing. And Jeff, we were talking about whole house generators, kind of walking through an overview of how all of that works. I guess let's just start this segment by going back to something you kind of touched on earlier in the first segment. You said that when the power goes out, these things kick on almost instantaneously. What does that look like, literally? I mean, maybe this is a really dumb question, but well, don't say no.
Yeah, I don't. You're right. I haven't heard it yet.
You have not met me and known me for very long, so this could be completely idiotic, and feel free to say so. After the fact, when you're safely out of my ear.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, I had power go out at the house. I don't know, a couple of months ago. And it was off for maybe 3 hours or so. No big deal. Nothing really affected. It didn't affect us at all. It kicked back on. Everything was fine, except my sprinklers would not stop running. They were running nonstop. So we go out there. We try to figure out what to do. Eventually, just shut everything down, give the people a call. Well, the power surge had damaged, the control panel for my sprinkler system.
Okay.
So that's what brings me to this. Now the power goes out. This generator kicks on. There's no power surge to be concerned about. It's
not at
gentle, bring everything back to life. Because everything that was on is going to come back on. A lot of it will anyway.
Yeah, and in fact, there is a new electrical code as of just a couple years ago implemented in the state of Michigan that a surge protector is required to be installed at every main panel and also the transfer switch. So that's going to protect you from those power surges.
If we've had that work done.
Yes. Yes,
but if we haven't, your generator isn't going to cause.
No, nothing like that.
It's going to cause a problem. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
because that blew. Let me tell you. That was not fun.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. In this situation, when power is lost, usually within 10 seconds or less, that power is automatically restored. So what's going to happen is you'll hear that generator start as soon as that utility service is lost. It's going to take a few seconds to warm up and get to that idle engine speed. Then the generator sends a signal automatically to your automatic transfer switch. Now, that bad boy's responsible for switching the power from utility to the generator, right? So as soon as that signal is received by the generator to the automatic transfer switch, that's when your generator kicks on and all the lights turn back on in your home and you're ready to rock and roll.
And all of that's 10 seconds.
10 seconds
10
max.
seconds tops.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Are there certain... Oh, I think I know the answer to this one, too. Are there specific appliances or systems that need to be prioritized when I'm running a generator? Or this thing can run everything, so I really don't need to worry so much. Not like with a portable one where I've got to decide.
Right.
Do we do the freezer? Do we do the television? Well, what's on? I don't know.
Right.
How long will the freezer last?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen with this.
No, so with the whole home unit, I mean, really what it comes down to is if you want to power your whole home, absolutely. We can get every single device, light, circuit, everything in your home powered up by that bad boy. You have the option too, though, to customize it a little bit and be more specific. And that's what's called an essential circuit transfer switch, essentially, where you can essentially pick and choose what circuits you want to be powered by that. So if you only want your kitchen, right, to have power, or your bedroom or your office, we can do that. We can install an essential circuit transfer switch, which will only provide power to those very specific areas.
What would be the benefit of that? Means I can get a smaller generator?
Yeah, it would be a little bit more of a cost-effective option. Or if you know that when you lose power, you all go to the living room and you all hang out there and you make it a board game night or something, and you just want power in that area of your home. You can absolutely.
What if I want to install, like, let's just say, street lamp type things in my yard that are normally not powered, but when the power goes out, I want this thing to power everything because I want everybody around me to know that it's like a carnival at my house.
Yeah.
Now, I could do that.
You could.
It just cost me.
Absolutely.
I have to decide, is that pride that I get from that experience worth?
Right, yeah. Being the only house lit up on the street, is that worth it to you? And 9 out of 10 customers say yes. Yeah, that's the thing. We don't really sell a lot of those essential circuits because when you get down to it, the cost savings isn't that effective compared to just being able to power your whole home, right? And that's where that convenience comes in again too. You know, you lose power and you only have an essential circuit. Now you might be sitting there thinking, maybe why didn't I go that extra mile?
Can it be adjusted after the fact?
No, it cannot. No.
All right.
So we can downsize you. You know, we could, but you can't.
me.
But you can't really. Yeah, you can't do that.
Want to pick the right room then?
Exactly.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
All right. I'd have to think that through. Now, I'm going to ask the question. Nobody ever likes it when I ask, but as much as I'm talking about throwing around money, that's just all fake. I cling to my money like grim death because there's not that much of it. I always want to know, like, a typical cost. And everybody says, well, I can't give you a cost. I can't do that. I'm curious, though. You know, what does it look like, even just a ballpark for installing a whole house generator?
Yeah.
You know, installation, any necessary upgrades to my electrical system. You know, are those things a requirement? Let's deal with that first.
Yeah, not a requirement. It might be a necessity in one-off cases, right? But a generator can run on a service as small as 100 amps. So as long as your service on your home is 100 amps or higher, you can have a generator. Okay? So, yeah, I would say not very often do we have to do service upgrades, or are they required in any way, shape, or form. Now, some extra considerations for a service upgrade would be, you know, how old your panel is, or if you have, you know, your panel up to code, right? As soon as we start to do an electrical project and we pull those permits and we're relying on the local inspection authority to inspect our work for safety, everything electrical in your house essentially falls under that inspection. So we have to make sure that we're getting your house up to code. But again, those are very few and far between. I would say, again, 9 out of 10 customers, we go in, we're able to identify, you know, what size service is on your home, and we don't even have to touch it. Everything is already set the way that it is, and we can just focus on the generator.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So about what is the ballpark price?
Yeah.
Just rough.
Yeah. So, you know, earlier we talked about the sizes of homes. That matters, of course. We can, you know, anything as small as a modular home, maybe that's just getting an essential circuit, all the way up to a larger home, you know, with natural gas and a ton of appliances. That range it's pretty significant. It could be anywhere from maybe on the low end $10,000 up to about $15,000. But we do offer comfortable monthly payments, so we can get those as low as $200 a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We also offer free complimentary estimates as well. So, you know, if you're thinking of even just, hey, I want to get somebody out here to see what this will look like, right? What are the ins and outs of this project? We will send somebody out to you free of charge, walk you through the details, perform our comprehensive inspection, you know, walk you through every single step of the process from A to Z.
Do they bring donuts?
We can.
Oh,
absolutely, we can.
I think if you did, that might get some people thinking.
Right.
Or at least get them not thinking, and maybe you can get them moving on the project because they're loving their donut. All right. So you mentioned at the beginning, I can't remember the percentage, but the whole house generator can affect a home's value too. It's not just the peace of mind and, you know, quality of life, living large. It's also impacting my home's value. What was that number again?
Yeah, on average, we see it increase by about 3 to 5%.
35%?
3 to 5. Oh, my gosh.
I know. I know. I just thought that was ridiculously fun to say, just to watch your
Keep me
reaction.
on my toes.
And
Yeah,
it was worth it. So 3 to 5%, though, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And that doesn't go away. What about the different fuel type? You mentioned propane
and
natural gas.
Those are pretty much it. Yep.
Those are pretty much the options.
Absolutely. Yep. So, natural gas, one thing to keep in mind here, and we're really, really good at this after doing this for the last 5 years, your natural gas meter might need to be upgraded. Okay. So I keep going back to this 9 out of 10, right? 9 out of 10 customers. That's another one where 9 out of 10 customers do need a gas meter upgrade. Now, one thing I can say is that a lot of our competitors do not mention that. So when they get to the point where a generator gets installed and it's now being starved for fuel, it's because they were never made aware that their gas meter needs to be upgraded. Now, we take that a step further. When we've identified that needs to be upgraded, we own that communication with your gas company the entire way through. So you're not the one having to reach out. You're not the one having to fill out a load calculation sheet on all of your natural gas appliances. We do all of that legwork for you. We send that information out to your natural gas provider, whether it's DTE, Michigan Gas Utilities, Semco, doesn't matter. We know them all. We work with them on a daily basis. And we handle that communication and coordination so that everybody is involved and can be there on the exact same day to get it done in one day for you.
All right.
Yep.
So, and you can give us a ballpark when you're giving us that estimate?
Absolutely.
That will include that cost.
Yeah, the gas meter upgrade typically ranges around $400 to $500, Now, unless your gas line from the city to your house needs to be upgraded, which is very, very small percentage of customers ever run into that scenario, it could be a little bit more expensive, possibly up to about $900 to $1,000.
Okay, but you can give us that ballpark right when we're looking.
And we'll be able to tell you when we're on site.
One thing I am curious about, are there any, common misconceptions that you run into that people have about whole house generators or something like that? Are there things that people just don't understand about how they work?
Yeah. Well, I would say one of the biggest misconceptions is just the noise level. People think that's going to kick on and they're going to be able to hear it through the entire neighborhood.
Well, we know the other ones, the portable ones, put your teeth on edge, Jeff.
Yeah, and they can be loud. I mean, I would say they're similar noise levels. It's no louder than a lawnmower, really. And in my mind, the sacrifice of having to hear a lawnmower 24/7 during a power outage is small potatoes compared to being able to live your life normally while everybody else on the block is out of power.
All right, last thing. Any advice that you've got for homeowners who are on the fence about installing one of these?
Great question. I would say if you're on the fence, I want you to ask yourself a question. What do I normally do when I lose power? How do I feel when I lose power? How does losing power affect me or my family? So you might be thinking, in that moment, it's frustrating. Mm-hmm. It can be annoying, right? It can be inconvenient. It might cause you some extra work. We talked about lugging the portable out, right?
Oh, I hate that.
Having to relocate, right? Trying to find some hotels that will accommodate. Now consider how you might feel if you had that automatic generator on standby, right? You get a notification on your phone that a blizzard's on the way or a thunderstorm's on the way, and you don't even bat an eye at it because you know that you have your generator there and it's going to protect you, right? And not to mention, there are some manufacturer promotions running actually right now from September 16th through November 3rd. You can get a free 7-year extended warranty on a Generac generator.
Okay. So just on Generac.
Just on
that
Generac.
Brand.
Yep.
And that's through when?
That is going to be September 16th through November 3rd.
Okay, so they've got a little bit of time left.
We do, yes.
So, all right, so that all makes sense. That's a free 7-year...
Free 7-year extended warranty.
What brands do you carry? I guess I should have asked that.
Yeah, so we specialize in Generac, and Kohler.
All right. If our listeners do have any questions, if they want to reach out to you, if they want to get you out there for a free estimate, maybe they want to get more questions answered about this promo that's going on right now. Yeah. How's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, so you can give us a call directly at 616-662-0364 or head on over to our website at grandbayelectric.com. Either way, you can send us a text right from our website as well. We can communicate any way that's easiest for you.
Perfect. I'll put all of that in the show notes. Jeff Roush, General Manager at Grand Bay Electric and East End Plumbing. You really get around. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get my thoughts on Color of the Year for 2025 and what in the world it means for all of us regular people. That's all coming up next. Stick around. And we're back. You're listening to the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show, and it's time to talk about Benjamin Moore's Color of the Year pick for 2025. Now, you probably already heard about it. You've probably already seen it. Hopefully, you've seen it. The new color of the year is Cinnamon Slate 2113-40. And I say I hope you've seen it because I'm going to try to give you a quick description on the radio. And there's nothing more, I don't know, empty than describing color on the radio. But anyway, I'm going to give it a try. It's kind of a muted purple with reddish brown undertones. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? And yeah, I can imagine the reaction out there to hearing that it's a reddish brown purple. People don't like the word purple. They struggle to figure out how they're going to use purple in their own design in their homes. It's really a polarizing color. I think 4 people in the world like purple, and the rest of the world is mad at them because they like it. You know, that's what it feels like anyway. A few years ago, Benjamin Moore ran with another purple tone, Shadow, and that was the scuttle. You know, a lot of people didn't get it. And certainly lots of people liked it. I understand that. But there was definitely some raised eyebrows when that color was chosen. Well, this time, the purple isn't quite as pronounced as that time. The brown undertones really do help ground it. And before you write it off, it's especially based on a description that I've given over the radio, go check it out. And by all means, give some attention to the entire Color Trends collection for 2025. These are 10 colors, including Cinnamon Slate, that range from greens to off-whites to leather browns to tans. And in what kind of feels like a break from past color collections, this one for 2025 feels really cohesive. You know, I think you could use the colors in this collection to do an entire home, and they would flow and work together really well. You know, it's possible that you could paint an entire home exclusively with colors from this collection. You know, no need for other trim colors or ceiling colors or anything outside of these. I think it would work, and I like that part of it a lot. That's a little bit of a break from the past, so go check that out. I've got links at RepcoLite.com to make it easy to find right on the homepage. Check that out. All right. I'm not going to say much more about the specific colors in the collection. I don't have a ton of time on this segment, and I'm going to be doing that anyway in more depth from time to time in the next few months. Today I want to talk about why this is or isn't important. You know, I get it. I know the audience is likely split. You know, a large number of you follow the Color of the Year predictions, and you get excited and really in it when the new color comes out. And there's another group of people who couldn't care less about it. These things just don't matter to them. Well, here's what I think about it all. That's what we're going to talk about for the rest of this segment. I'm always interested in seeing what Benjamin Moore comes up with, but it usually doesn't impact me really outside of work a whole lot. You know, I don't redo my home every time with the new colors when they come out. I don't debate if I want this color in my home this year or not. I really don't think about it outside of work. Not a lot anyway. But this year, in their little promotional video that they released about the color, Benjamin Moore said something different that caught my attention, and it got me a little more excited. It definitely got me thinking, and I love that when something gets me thinking about something that I'd not thought about before. Now, at the very end of their little video, Andrea Magno, who's been on our show recently, a couple months or so ago, talking about the color of the year and what goes into the selection, Andrea Magno in this Benjamin Moore promotional video says this.
We hope that people use this to just create new things for themselves, get new ideas.
We hope that people use this to create new things for themselves and to come up with new ideas. Well, that hit me. I don't know about you, but I'm stuck in a major rut, and I don't always realize it. But I am. You know, I've got basically 10 different meals that I make regularly. 10. I've got 1 or 2 vacation spots that we go to. I've got about 3 different things that I do on a particular, any given evening at home. 1 of 3 things. That's what I'm doing. If I go shopping, there's a limited range of places that I go. And when it comes to paint, the walls in my home have largely been the same colors for as long as I've been a homeowner. Where are the new things in life? Where are the new ideas? I'm looking for them. But finding new ideas isn't easy. It takes a ton of work, right? If it was easy, we'd all be doing it all the time. But it takes just loads of work. It takes reading, searching, looking, exploring. It takes risking. It takes a lot of effort at the end of the day. And most of us want it. Many of us don't know how in the world to find it or even where to start looking for new things or new ideas. Again, look at me in my house. Let's just use that as an example. I've got the same green tones, blue tones, beige tones. They followed me when I moved. And the new spaces eventually feel like extensions of the old spaces. It's not bad, but it's not new. It's just more of the same. And that's okay if that's what I truly deep down want. If that's what you truly deep down want, nothing wrong with that. Go for it. But for me, that's not really what I truly deep down want. I do want something new. I do want that new idea, whatever it is. But I'm stuck. Where do I begin? What colors do I start with? How do I do it? Will the color work with the adjacent spaces? That's always a concern. Will I end up needing to change those as well? How far is this one change going to spread through the house? Will I need new furniture? Will I need new window treatments? Will I be wondering if I should have painted the ceiling a different color when I'm done? Am I going to regret my choices? All of that goes through my head. I work with paint, and I'm embarrassed to say that, but that's, pretty much where I'm at. But then let's get back to this 2025 color of the year. This color comes out, a brownish purple color, which sounds lovely. Again, every time I say it, it just sounds so beautiful. Sarcasm, a brownish purple color. That color comes out, and my first thought is, what in the world am I going to do with that? It's way out there when it comes to the colors of Dan. It's not in my wheelhouse. Well, I'm thinking about all of that, and then Andrea Magno says that line that I referenced earlier. We hope that people use this to create new things for themselves and to come up with new ideas. And for some reason, like I said, that thought really hit me. New ideas, creating new things for myself. When I look at me, I realize that I limit myself by my stubbornness, right? By my hesitancy to try something new, by my fear, whatever it is, I limit myself. Jumping into something outside of my comfort zone is an opportunity to create something new for me and my family. And I love that idea. That's crazy cool, crazy fun. I've never thought about color as having that kind of power. And I think about paint a lot, way more than normal people do. I think about color a lot. And I know it's got power. I know it dramatically affects how we feel about a space. I know it can help me make a space feel the way I want it to feel. But I've never thought about it helping me create something new for myself. Maybe that's just me being dumb, but I've never thought about it that way. Because when I think about that phrase, I picture something exciting. I picture that I'm creating something that I may never have experienced otherwise. I'm making something that I never knew could be. I'm creating something that I'd previously limited or maybe even rendered non-existent for one reason or another. A color like cinnamon slate has the potential to encourage you out of your comfort zone. It's got, how do you say it? It's got the ability to help you create something new. Basically, that's, I guess, the same idea keeps playing through. Other colors of the year challenged us like that. I understand that. Raspberry blush from a couple years ago, if you remember that one, that challenged us to step out of our comfort zone. But seriously, if you remember that color, you know that it was challenging us by standing outside of our comfort zone and then screaming at us like a drill sergeant. It was trying to boss me out of my comfort zone. This new color is a little gentler. It's a kinder color of the year. When you see it, you can see that there are possibilities. You don't have to do a million mental backflips to try to envision it in your space. It kind of lures you out a little bit, I guess I'd say, and it encourages you to try something new. And the supporting colors in the collection really, really help. So again, like I said, check those out. So bottom line, do you need to use cinnamon slate everywhere? Do you need to even use a little bit of it anywhere in your home? No, not at all. Then, if that's the case, is it important in the grand scheme of things? Is the color of the year an important concept, or is it just a throwaway? Well, I think it's important. And I think if you feel stuck in your design and you love the thought of having a new idea and finding something different, well, there's a lesson in this color of the year stuff. Purple, for example, may not be your color. But just thinking about it as a possibility starts to open your mind up to other colors that you may not have previously considered. And even if you don't care about color, that's not your thing. There's still a lesson in all of this. Finding something new means entertaining something outside of our comfort zone. Whether it's new foods, new vacation spots, new friends, anything. We don't find new ideas and new experiences all safely confined in the circle in which we feel comfortable and happy. It's outside that circle where the new stuff waits. So, Cinnamon Slate, new color of the year for 2025. We'll talk more about it and the other colors in the collection as the months unfold. But those are my thoughts. And before I wrap this up for the week, I want to help you out of your comfort zone a little bit. Right now, through the end of October, you can get one free Benjamin Moore color sample in any of the 10 Color Trends 2025 colors. So if you want a no-risk way to give Cinnamon Slate or any of the other colors in the collection a try in your home, you can get one free color sample at any RepcoLite. That'll give you, basically about a half a pint of paint that you can put on a wall, you can put it on a foam board, and you can actually see the color in your space. So once more, now through the end of October, you can get one free Benjamin Moore color sample from any of the 10 colors in the 2025 Color Trends collection. So stop out at your nearest RepcoLite and ask about it. All right, there you go. We're done. That's all the time I've got. If you want to catch this episode again, you can find it online at RepcoLite.com. Whatever you do today, make sure paint's a part of it. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you next week. I'm Dan Hansen. Thanks for listening.